Okay, this one is near and dear to my heart. We're going to get into when people around the world talk about land ownership, they often use the United States as a reference point. Of course, why not, right? Whether they realize it or not, the U.S. is known for strong private property rights and clear ownership records and a long term generational control. But here's the issue. Many buyers assume that land ownership in other countries works the same as it does in the US, but it usually doesn't. In this video, we're breaking down how land and property ownership in the US differs from most of the world and why misunderstanding this difference causes so many problems for foreign buyers and global travelers. I'm so excited. This is the beginning of an episode of land ownership around the globe so we can show you how exactly the US and other countries differ in property rights and what you need to know to make sure you own real estate responsibly. So, most buyers in the US are familiar with a fee simple ownership, which means you own the land, you own the structure, ownership doesn't expire, and rights transfer and are inheritable. The system individualizes control, long term ownership, and strong legal protection against seizure. In many parts of the world, ownership exists, but control is way more limited. The U.S. prioritizes private ownership as a foundational right, not just an economic arrangement. This philosophical difference really matters. Outside of the U.S., many countries view land as a regulated resource, a public interest asset, or something that requires oversight. That doesn't mean foreigners can't own property. Many can. And it does mean land is used more controlled. Zoning and classification matter more. Ownership does not always equal freedom of use. In many countries, agricultural land is restricted. Didn't you know that? Coastal land is protected. Rural land may have limitations, and renovation rights are tightly regulated. Ownership exists, but flexibility is reduced. One of the biggest global misconceptions is assuming property ownership equals residency. This is a big one. In the U.S., buying property does not grant you residency, and immigration is separate from ownership. But ownership can align with the business or family pathways later. Globally, ownership and residency are almost always separate. Buying property rarely accelerates your immigration status. Visa strategy must be planned independently. The difference is not necessarily legality, it's your expectation. The U.S. system feels a lot more flexible, even though the rule is the same. Another major difference is how ownership costs are structured. In the U.S., property taxes are ongoing and they're pretty visible, while purchase taxes are relatively low. This makes costs more predictable year to year, and in many other countries, though, taxes are front loaded at purchase and transfer taxes and duties are higher. Ongoing taxes might be lower, but they can be layered. U.S. favors long term ownership stability, while many countries favor transaction based revenue. Neither approaches are really better, but they do affect affordability in different ways. In the United States, zoning exists, but there's usually a fair amount of flexibility. Private land can often be improved, modified, and rural land offers significant autonomy. But globally, land classifications tend to be stricter with stronger environmental and historic protections. Modifications often require approval. The difference matters to most homesteaders, builders, investors, and long term landholders. The U.S. model prioritizes use and development, while many other countries focus on more preservation and control. The U.S. has one of the most liquid real estate markets in the world, and that basically means easier resale, transparent pricing, and widespread financing options. Globally, financing may be limited to foreigners, resale markets can be slower, and pricing transparency really varies. Liquidity affects risk. The U.S. system favors mobility, while other systems tend to favor stability. So the United States tends to work best for long-term owners, builders, and developers, and land investors like myself, and folks that focus on generational wealth planning, like ancestry lands. Meanwhile, many other countries might actually work better for lifestyle buyers, part-time residents, urban living, and those seeking cultural immersion. The big mistake here is assuming that one system fits all goals. Every future country you explore should be compared to this question. How does this country differ from the United States in ownership, control, and flexibility? That's the playbook. Understanding the United States as a baseline makes every other country easier to evaluate. That's a key important. And the final takeaways are going to be this. The United States isn't perfect, but it is unique. And honestly, misunderstanding how different it is from the rest of the world is one of the biggest mistakes global buyers can make. This video is for educational uses only. Property tax and immigration laws vary by country and change over time, so always verify your information with official sources and qualified professionals. I'm Phil Davis, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is going to begin our series on how exactly you can own land and what the difference is if you want to own across the world. You want to be a big baller? Fine. Now, remember, we focus about global land ownership and long-term opportunity, and go ahead and subscribe for the channel for foundational land ownership principles. Check out my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt. It's available on Amazon. Links in the description below. And if you want to start your land ownership journey right away, especially in the United States, come on, visit the website, ancestrylands.com, a trusted company that's helped many landowners get started with confidence. I'm Phil Davis. Thanks for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.